All right, so this is a suggestion via a channel member. The name of the video is Bill Clinton's stunning admission ends up in a Trump ad. All right. Let's go.
Former President Bill Clinton is out stumping for Vice President Harris, and while trying to defend her record as border czar, he stunningly suggested that Georgia nursing student Laken Riley would still be alive if it were not for the Biden-Harris's border policies.
What? He didn't say that. That's a joke, right?
Georgia's WMAZ caught Clinton's remarks, and they were sent out by the Trump campaign and used in this ad.
Let me hear it.
And on the immigration thing, she's the only candidate who has actually endorsed a bill that would hold down immigration in any given year to a certain point, and then make sure we gave people a decent place to live, and we did total vetting before people got in.
Vetting? What vetting?
Trump killed the bill. The bill was being written by senior Republicans in the Senate, and he killed the bill. Why? You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted and that doesn't happen.
Okay, Bubba.
Bro, take several seats. A couple of them. It looks like you need it.
It needs a fact check, so let's fact check Mr. Clinton there. Look, this drives me to no end, just enrages me, because number one,
passing the blame.
Biden tore up the executive orders of the Trump administration.
Right.
Number two, he always had Section 212F authority under the Immigration Nationality Act. Let's pull this up. He could have done this at any moment, where it says, whenever the president finds that the entry of one alien or any class into the U.S. would be detrimental to the interests of the U.S., he may, by proclamation and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all or any class. Not only that, he had executive authority. He also had control of Congress for 2 years. We'll put this up when Democrats controlled the presidency, the Senate, the House, January 21 to January 23. As you pointed out, David Webb, the bill he is talking about came after this period.
It's a minor detail because Bill Clinton can time travel politically, but it's ridiculous. They keep pushing the lie. They know they lie. Bill Clinton is not that addled. He's not Joe Biden. He knows what he's doing, and he's a master at twisting reality to make it seem like it worked. And just like the point about Trump killing the bill, well, Byron Donalds from Florida and many others and Republicans, long before Trump weighed in on the bill, said that this bill was going nowhere. Then they tried to use Senator Langford. Well, that was a massive failure. That's the same senator, by the way, who's now complaining about the arrest of the SIV on a plot to create a terrorist, to use terrorism on election day. So that's not bipartisan. It was just bad, but he's way out of time. But the Democrats are going to do this for the next 21 days, which is lie to you about the actual circumstance and facts and hope enough people buy it.
And they say that immigrant with the terror plot came in on humanitarian parole. Doesn't make much.
Illegal alien? That's
yes.
Just
doesn't make much of a difference. Humanitarian parole would be entering legally, but he should have been vetted. He was not. Emily, Laken Riley's killer, I don't even want to say his name, but I do want to pull up his record because Bill Clinton is indeed right that he should have been vetted. He came illegally into the country September of 2022, released into the interior. Then you can see September of 23, he's arrested in New York City for acting in a manner to injure a child. Same month, goes down to Athens, Georgia, and then 2 months later.
Listen. If you have someone who has come into this country in a very illicit manner, and they got arrested in New York for doing something like this that I'm circling, I'm not going to say it, right? And then you received a citation for taking things again illicitly from this right here. I get it. You want to let them in? I'm not really partial to just letting random people in that are claiming asylum. They're not actually asylum seekers, right? But either way, that's not the point here. The point is that the first arrest should have packed them up, bro.
Later, you see he received a citation for shoplifting, and ultimately Laken Riley, who he allegedly killed, lost her life.
That's right. Just like Bambi Larson, whose alleged murderer, also had a massive recidivist rap sheet. And but for the sanctuary city and protections afforded by this administration and the city of San Jose, Bambi Larson would still be alive. That person would be, per the law, have been deported and incarcerated a long time ago, many assaults ago, and a murder ago. The reality, and this is what's devastating, is Laken Riley's name is not alone. Just one name is one name too many. But the reality is there are thousands, millions of people who have been detrimentally affected at the hands of the lack of vetting by this administration. I have to point out
that's an interesting statement she just made, because it's definitely not that millions of people have been like directly affected in the same way that Laken Riley and her family were affected. Let's just be honest here, intellectually honest. Now, if it comes down to like social programs not having enough money, yeah, that's a direct effect. Okay, but based off of what we just said, it seems like we're kind of like going into another talking point, but we need to stay with the actual point here. There have been probably hundreds, maybe, if that, on the high end, that had similar situations or situations that were also as terrifying, let's say. But definitely not millions of people. That would not be something that specifically the Democrat Party would be able to kind of move away from, or kind of under talk, or kind of get away from as fast as humanly possible. That would be a thing that would be everywhere, guys. If it was millions upon millions of people that were affected in a similar manner, at least.
That them trotting out President Clinton and thinking that it will help reminds me of the Governor Whitmer antic with the feminist influencer eating the Dorito, where these people are supposed to help the ticket. What we are seeing, per your point about the lies, we are seeing the Little Red Riding Hood wolf with the grandmother's outfit on, where we can all see you're still just a wolf. Guys, these policies are still terrible. They are still absolutely detrimental to Americans. So you lying or trying to switch the narrative, we can see the wolf for what it is. That has been this administration, and whoever they trot out to try to stick to the script inevitably slips and tells the truth, shows the revealed truth for what it is, which is a horrible perversion of American values and everything we hold dear.
You know, Molly, the DC Swamp journalist Martha Raddatz said there's only a handful of Venezuelan gangs taking over apartments.
Yeah, guys, we definitely need to get over this name-calling nonsense, guys.
Swamp journalist Martha Raddatz said there's only a handful of Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment buildings. That went viral yesterday. The New York Swamp journalist named Anderson Cooper last night called it the non-existent gang invasion in Colorado. I want to play, because our viewers, they deserve facts. This is Cindy Ramiro. This is what happened in her apartment building.
I was pushed out of my apartment by gang activity, people carrying guns in the hallway and patrolling the grounds with guns. I feel like the mayor and the governor and the APD all downplay the situation. There were 6 people outside my door with guns. That's not counting all the other ones that used to patrol the property with guns. How many gangs is okay to have in Aurora?
None.
How many properties is okay to take over? How many people who are citizens paying their bills is it okay to displace?
So her problems.
All right, well, you definitely want to listen to every single, like all of the words that she just used there. Now, do I think that there is definitely massive amounts of gang activity, specifically in Aurora, due to like the infiltration of Tren de Aragua? Absolutely, I do think that. Do I think that they're taking over just apartments in the same way that it's being basically framed here? I'm not sure, right? Because even the words that were just used by this woman here is that she was living in an apartment, but people are most likely living really close to her. There's probably some gang activity happening in one of the apartments close to her. And so that means that these individuals are outside of her hallway, not specifically targeting her, most likely, but protecting whatever is on the inside of that apartment. That's one singular apartment. And obviously from looking at it from the outside, it looks like they're taking over every single apartment complex, because they're I wouldn't say patrolling, but they're protecting a singular apartment. But again, who wants to live next to that? Not a single person. So now, like looking at it from the perspective of someone that lives there, it looks crazy, guys, right? Like you don't want to be in a situation like that ever. She asked a great question, honestly. How many gangs need to exist here? None. No gangs should exist in general. There are all types of gangs and fraternities that exist, right? And some legal, some not legal. That type of mentality needs to be completely eradicated in the United States of America if we are going to come together as one singular unit eventually, right? You get what I'm saying here, guys? We need to get rid of all this nonsense in general. But either way.
It's non-existent according to Jared Polis, according to Anderson Cooper, and she's just a handful.
No, it exists, but not.
When
I don't think in the
J.D.
manner
Vance said,
it's being framed.
Do you hear yourself, Martha? I think he spoke for all of America who are so frustrated. Everyone's so frustrated how our media take real stories and they hide them, and they take other stories and they elevate them. I don't remember people saying, oh, George Floyd, that's just one guy, when we had a whole summer of violent riots. That was quite different than the way that they portrayed it. And also this other thing, this woman is talking here and she's giving her own firsthand experience. I am from Colorado. This is a story that's been going on for months.
Who is this
and so
person?
when the people in the media say, oh, well, we called the government officials in charge of cleaning things up, and they say, actually, it's no big deal, that does not end the story. That just shows how incompetent the government officials in Colorado are at dealing with a major issue. And it's, of course, also a federal issue.
Molly, I'm sensing a trend because Axios just came out yesterday and talked about historic low trust in media. And this reminds me of hurricane relief. So the residents of North Carolina, they're just liars. This woman, Cindy, she's just a liar out in Colorado. They're all just liars, and the know-it-alls, Anderson Cooper, Martha Raddatz, have the facts.
This is the...
Hey guys, really quickly, guys. I generally research people as they're speaking to know if they're adding any any actual validity to conversations, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to be completely honest. If you know, her name is Molly Hemingway. Just Google her, guys. I would completely just ignore 90% of what comes out of her mouth.
They're all just liars, and the know-it-alls, Anderson Cooper,
Specifically
Martha
her.
Raddatz, have the facts.
This is the most frustrating thing when you see the media kind of piling onto the gaslighting, buying the government saying, in this particular case in Aurora, where the governor's office said that it was in the imagination of the city councilors and the people that were trying to get help. And then that video comes out with the men with the guns in the hallways, and you realize there's some reality there. Then you hear these personal stories,
there is.
and it gets more upsetting when you see a journalist doing that thing where, like, this problem isn't really that big. It's a few apartment complexes. You're exaggerating. This isn't your imagination, when everybody can see it. And then J.D. Vance, as you mentioned, very instinctively pushes back on that in the moment. And people can see reality and not believe the media and not believe the government and make decisions for yourself.
Do you remember when Don Lemon
I seriously do wish that people did do that, though.
interviewed people on the boardwalk and someone talked about their lived experience and he answered, that's not what the statistics say.
Right, or when you rip out the government,
what I saw,
stats
what I'm
on crime.
experiencing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That is a great reminder. That is so true. I will take the word of Cindy Ramiro over Anderson Cooper and Martha Raddatz, the great journalist.
Hey, everyone.
I mean, listen, I hear what you're saying, but this is also incredibly biased. But hold on. Guys, Don Lemon is absolutely a biased individual. Okay, nearly every single thing that he says is just based off of some type of bias. I really wish that kind of what one of the women said at the end here would come to fruition, where people would have the ability to look up things and research things before they act. They just believed every single thing that they encountered on some type of screen, or some random dude on the internet, or some random person on any one of these news things that you guys send me, guys, right? Because there's a lot of misinformation, and that's kind of what I'm starting to pretty much gather over this. I would say this last week. There's a lot of just craziness. People just saying things, and you can't say anything about Don Lemon or Anderson Cooper and then have this Molly Hemingway on the same screen, bro. That's a crazy thing, bro. Read her Twitter. Okay, just go to her Twitter account. It's MW Hemingway. That's what it is. Just read it. All right. Yeah, I don't even know where to go with that one. But now, for Bill Clinton to basically, come out and try to act like it's anyone's fault that this happened, right? Is how about this? Not anyone's fault, but it's not her candidate's fault for this happening. For the lack of border security, for the point of saying, you know what? Listen, we're going to allow millions of people through the border. Millions of people. All right. And basically do nothing about it until election time comes up and you realize, oh no, this is going to be a hot button issue. Right. She's an extremist, Kamala Harris, incredibly, right? I'm not really getting the vibe of American from her like that, guys. I don't know. I like America. Right? I like the Constitution. Right? I think that you work for what you get. Period. If you're wondering why things are not amazing, don't blame it on some nonsense. Blame it on the fact that you're not doing enough. A lot of the times, overwhelming majority of people would be absolutely successful if they actually did the opposite of what they were doing currently. We'll be honest. Think about that. Think about that for a second deeply. Okay. If you're doing terribly in life, what if you were to do the opposite? Maybe the path that you've been taking and following is not a successfully conducive path. Right? That's my opinion. I'm not in the camp of being like, hey, listen, we need to give people things for life. Why? You're telling them to never innovate. Right? You're leaving them stuck. But all right, who am I? Random guy on the internet, guys. That's it. It's my opinion. But all right, I'll catch you guys later. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day. All right.
Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.